Vampire Diaries Season 7 premiere day 1 of 22,000, give or take, and the original Season 3 premiere for the next millennium. Now, I don't know if I'm going to do this format for the entire season, but I've watched the Vampire Diaries since it initially started, and I never really reviewed it. For whatever reason, I just never really thought it was worth reviewing, to be totally honest. And then the originals came out, and those were my favorite characters. Like, some of my favorite characters. My favorite has always been Alaric, because he just has the best storyline. And he still does in this episode. It was super awesome. But, I love both shows. I decided I don't know if I'm going to review every episode of The Vampire Diaries or how I'm going to do that. But I actually really enjoyed the episode so much, I was like, I kind of have to review this because I have so many speculations. And I just love the way they did the episode, because not only do we pick up where, a couple of months after the last season, or a couple of weeks really, something like a month and a half or so, but we also get like a crazy time skip that's 3 years in the future, where Damon is in a casket next to Elena, so he at some point just like gave up. And then we have this crazy hunter who apparently they already fought at some point, but they thought she was dead and she came back, and so now she's hunting both Damon and Stefan, and it was just a really cool ending. So it had me excited, and it seems like, based on what they're doing, and of course these series are, one's a spinoff of the other, so it kind of made sense to just review them both together, because of course I'm going to continue to do the originals, but I was thinking of picking it up, so it depends on you guys. If you want to see this sort of format where I just do both together and how each one might affect the other show, then definitely let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably just stick to the originals, and I'll do Vampire Diaries. Maybe if it's like a really special episode, I'll do it, or, mid-season finale, stuff like that. Or I'll just do them separately. I might not do just this, because I already have reviews that are long enough anyway, so I'm going to have to try to figure out how to make this short somehow while reviewing both episodes at the same time. But I definitely love both. For one, I love the fact that now both shows just come out on the same day, because the originals last time, I believe for the last 2 seasons, was on Tuesdays, and the Vampire Diaries has been on Thursdays for a long time. Like, that's one of the few shows that I believe hasn't changed in a really long time, because everything else is always getting moved around. So now both shows are on Thursdays, which is actually pretty awesome, because it just makes sense to the spinoff shows. Just like Arrow and Flash, which still aren't on the same night, which is crazy to me, but, same thing, spinoff shows, so it was kind of cool to see them for the first time, just one after the other. And each episode was pretty cool. I mean, of course, each episode was a time skip. We had, like I said, about a month and a half from the finale of The Vampire Diaries. And we have, I believe it was like 6 months or so from the finale of the originals. So each one has some pretty different dynamics. I mean, with the change that happened in The Vampire Diaries, it's much less time, but it's such a huge change, because we got rid of, a main villain who also got rid of one of our main characters. So it's a pretty big dynamic. And then we have 6 main villains, which is now down to 5, which is very surprising to me. But we have, 5 main villains that come back who are Siphon Witches. I can't remember their actual names, but we have Siphon Witches who are also vampires, which, honestly, I forgot that they could siphon powers until the scene where Bonnie and Damon team up to kill one. I was like, I forgot that's what they could do. I was thinking they just had powers, but I was like, oh yeah, they have to siphon it, which is probably good, because if they could just use magic just like that, it wouldn't matter. And I guess technically they can, but it might not be as powerful. But that's gonna be pretty crazy. They already got one though, and I love that Bonnie and Damon teamed up in this episode. I did find it interesting that Damon told Bonnie, he's like, you're my best friend. I was like, oh well, F Alaric then, because all the scenes they've always had, they've always been like best friends, and I was like, well, kind of just threw Alaric like right under the bus. Although Alaric did kind of screw him over a little, I could see if he was slightly confused, because I don't know, Alaric is going on, not a rampage, but Alaric is doing some really shady stuff. Like, he was drinking tea the whole time, pretending he was drunk. It was kind of sad when he went to, like, the fake psychic. It was kind of sad when he mentioned that the ring was fake, because he lost the actual ring to the first one. I was like, that kind of sucks, because, his wife got killed, as well as his twin children from technically his psycho ex-brother-in-law. And I've always loved that character, and so now he has this red stone, which came out of nowhere, And then we find out that this redstone is also very important to Stefan and Damon's mother. So I don't know what this thing does. He's trying to use it to bring his wife back. Who knows what they're going to end up using it for. I don't know if they'll be bringing other people back, if there's some other members that were a part of this little clan and we just didn't hear about them beforehand. They died like long before, but maybe they have their ashes or something crazy like that. So we have this new item, and my girlfriend kind of mentioned like we're back to gems and stones now for Vampire Diaries, but I thought it was cool. It was like this random thing. He's going to use it to try to bring his wife back, and that should be interesting because I think we've pretty much seen every version of a Lark we possibly could. We had Vampire Hunter Lark, we've had Vampire, like basically original Vampire Lark, we've had Evil Lark with when he kept dying from the ring, and then we kind of went back to Human Alark. We also had Ghost Alark, technically, when he died. So we've had almost every version, and I think we're going to get an interesting mix between like regular Alark and angry Alark because he's trying to bring his wife back, and this was like his chance to kind of just get out of the whole business, and that's really what he was going to do. And now he's got no one. Well, I mean, he has people, of course, but he wants his wife and his kids back. So I'm excited to see where the heck that goes because like I said, I love his character. He's my favorite character, honestly, out of like both series. But that should be pretty cool. I'm excited for that. Then we have, just to kind of get to the end of this episode, I don't know what's going to happen with this villain, whoever she is, but she's some sort of magical vampire hunter who is not only connected to Damon and Stefan at the end of this episode, specifically Stefan, because he was the one who had the wound, but she's also tied to Bo, who is the only person I can remember his name, of these Siphon vampires, because he had this scar, and I believe that was it was maybe 2 scenes before the final scene where Stefan woke Damon up. So he has this scar, and he encountered this woman. So she's already been living for centuries. So whoever this is alive and well, been living for a long time. I think that's probably going to be the biggest tie-in to the originals because it just makes sense if she's been alive for this long and she has some weird magical sense where like the wound on Stefan just opened up because she was near again, then she's got magic powers or something about her is magical. If she marks you, if she brands you, then that's your warning to know that she's near, which is kind of weird that you get a warning, but you do. And also it's a scar on the vampire, which says a lot, I think. So I don't know who she is, but I think that her presence, whoever she may be, is going to be a huge tie-in to the originals, which of course has a huge, awesome beginning for this season, setting up a brand new war. Because I was very curious what they were going to be doing, and then it's like, okay, well now we have another sire of Klaus, and we get like this flashback of this character, which I kind of liked how they did that because they didn't play around with it where you wondered. They kind of gave us the answers, and they even gave us answers that I didn't even have questions to. I was like, oh, I wonder what happened with this girl. And I guess that's technically a question, but I was like, I wonder who killed her. Honestly, I was like, I wonder if Klaus killed this girl in the past. And then we find out that not only did he turn the guy that helped his family get into this palace so that they could live normally, at least for a little bit, but either he did or his sire turned this woman as well. So they were together for centuries, and then they split up. And I'm pretty sure that's who that was at the end, who got that random note. Although I'm honestly not 100% sure. I don't remember because it was so early in the episode and she was in like one scene during the flashbacks. So I don't know if that was her or if that's a third actress that they have for Rebecca. I'm hoping it's the woman from the flashbacks because it would really suck if we ended up getting introduced to a new actress for Rebecca. And really Rebecca kind of left to figure out her magic, so I don't think that would be her. I'm pretty sure it's the girl from the flashbacks. But we do get flashback Rebecca, which is kind of awesome. We get our original actress, so that was really cool. We also got our original Finn and Cole back, which was pretty surprising as well. It's like, that's really awesome when they do the flashbacks and we get to see all the original actors. So that I really enjoyed. That was pretty cool. The 6-month time skip set up some pretty interesting stuff. Freya, kind of sending this letter to Rebecca, and it's like, this is everything that's happening. We have Haley and the wolves, who are still cursed. Haley only gets to see her daughter once a month. Elijah and Klaus are still feuding. Marcel is um, basically set up an MMA ring to bring in people and see if they're worth training to join his community. And other than that, it's kind of just weird. Like everything else is, they're just kind of falling apart. It's just like things are under control, but they just aren't what they used to be. So it was a very interesting setup. And then other stuff happens where it's like, okay, here comes this whole new war where the sire lines are gonna go up against the originals, but of course they're gonna bond together, which I don't think that's too much of a stretch to assume that they're all gonna come back and be like, well, I don't want my brother to die. I don't want my sister to die. We're the last three left. So, let's just bond together and wipe out these lesser vampires, whoever they are, no matter what sire line they're from. So I don't think they have that to worry about. But then we get this crazy, super secret future threat. I don't know what to expect from that because I wasn't expecting there to be one singular enemy. I thought for sure it would just be, once it was introduced, like the sire lines were feuding, I just thought, okay, there's going to be like a giant all-out war between the sire lines. And then it's like, no, you have like one singular threat coming straight at you, and it's pretty crazy. And it could also be the sire from Klaus. I don't know what his deal is. We find out that not only is he the serial killer that's cutting people like the Joker, because of course, ever since Dark Knight, that's all you can think of. But not only is he the guy like putting people like puppeteers or puppets, and he's the puppeteer, but he's also the guy who hired the soldiers to go out into the woods and kill all of the werewolves. So he's at least a part of the company. He might not be the owner of it, but he's a part of the company that's taking over the bayou and hired all of these independent like mercenary groups to kill off all the werewolves. I don't understand why, but there's something there obviously, and that was pretty messed up too when we found that out. And Elijah finds the truck, and there's just a bunch of dead werewolves in the back of this truck. And I was like, that really blows. Like, all this stuff happened so Klaus could save his daughter, and then, it's not like there were a million werewolves to begin with. I know that a bunch of people did come in to join the hybrid line so that they could all be much stronger. But once they all got hit with the curse and turned into werewolves again, and they're just werewolves, or well, they're still hybrids, but they're affected by the werewolf curse because it was adapted a little bit. It just screwed them all over. It's like it didn't matter anyway. So a bunch of werewolves are getting killed off by these independent contractors. We meet one werewolf who, of course, like she was just this random girl that we thought was Haley. So obviously she's going to be important because they don't throw people in and give them lines and then we never see them again. So she's going to be important for whatever reason. Haley has been captured by Davina because Davina wants something from Haley. So there's just like a bunch of crazy dynamics going on there. Davina is also scared that her own coven is going to turn against her because of her past really. So that was kind of exciting. She's in fear. She also can't really team up with Marcel, which I like to think she wants to because they were so close, despite their back and forth relationship between despite some of the decisions they kind of fought about. They still care about each other. Of course, Marcel still cares about Davina. He's like her father figure. But, she's like, witches can't team up with werewolves or can't team up with the vampires, so I can't help you or anything like that. So, very interesting dynamics. Davina's kind of on her own. And maybe what she wants is for Haley to kill the woman that tried to, like, destroy her hands. But it's just a lot of crazy stuff going on. So, I like both premieres. They're both pretty cool. Just to go back to the Vampire Diaries, I did enjoy seeing how the characters have advanced over this little bit of time. We do get an official, I guess, second or third kiss or something between Stefan and I can never remember her name. I can never remember the girl's name for a second. Caroline. So we get an official kiss between them. I've never been like that. It's never been that big of a deal to me, the relationship stuff. But it's interesting to see them together. Or at least think about working it out. And then we have this new relationship between Bonnie and Damon, and we had the scene where she almost got hit by the truck, and he just was there, and it was just cool. It was like he had to think about it, but he saved her. And then they have like a badass team up where Bonnie's like, I don't want to leave my city. I don't want to run in fear. I want to like screw these people up. And Damon, of course, I think he's just more concerned about the fact that he lost his house. He's like, me too, because I come back home and I don't have one. So the whole city's abandoned. It looks like it was post-apocalyptic, even though all they did was move the people out, which me and my girlfriend were kind of talking about. She was like, why does it look like that? Just all they did was move people. And it's true, it did look weird, because in the finale of the last season, we get like an actual scene from this episode where it definitely looked post-apocalyptic. I thought for sure it looked that way because it was just like chaos. Like the vampires came in and they just killed a bunch of people. And that's why the city looked that way. But it was really like they just moved people out. And it's like, well, why'd everybody put tarps and stuff on everything? Like shutting down, closing up and stuff like that. So that was kind of weird that it looked that way. Like it looked so crazy. And there, of course, are still people within the city, and they're mostly homeless people. And we already saw that happen. And anyone that comes into the city is fair game. So that's a hell of a deal for them to make, because I'm sure we're going to get an episode where, for whatever reason, there's going to be a big group of people. And I don't know why, but I feel like that's just definitely going to happen. For some reason, there's going to be a bunch of people, and that's going to... I mean, the truce is already kind of screwed over. Like, after this, just the premiere, it's already kind of done. But I feel like that's really going to do it. I don't know if they might kind of push Damon and Bonnie out and say, like, hey, that was a fluke or whatever, but it might not make any difference. And then we have Caroline, who's kidnapped. Who knows? I doubt that'll get back to Klaus, by the episode or whatever. Plus, with the time difference, I don't know when the episodes are actually going to match up, because we have like a month and a half from the last finale, and then 6 months for the originals, and then we have a 3-year gap by the end of this season, which is really insane. So they're going to catch up, obviously, at some point. Some stuff is going to happen, and we're going to get at least a little time skip. But with them going this 3-year span, that's one of my favorite things about this season already. It's just interesting. I don't know if they're going to do jumps backwards and forwards. I would love it if they did, because we've never seen that in the show before. But that would be really exciting, because based on how it is, it's almost like just a totally different thing. Like, I'm pretty sure Damon was in a completely different state. He was obviously in a different city. So I don't know, like I said, if they're going to do back and forth, but I would love it, because they have this supernatural vampire hunter. Who knows who she is? Whatever it is going to be pretty interesting, because she's already encountered like Bo, the magical vampires. So she's been around for a long time, and she's pretty dangerous. So I'm excited for both these seasons. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be doing this format. I probably won't. If I do end up reviewing both series, I'll probably just do one apiece, even though I was able to kind of keep this one fairly short for me at least. But I know there's going to be an episode where just for Vampire Diaries alone, or just the originals alone, I could spend 20 minutes. So this might be like a rare thing that I do, where I do both episodes. It might just be premieres and finales, mid-season, and then season finales. But definitely enjoy both seasons. Probably the most interesting premiere for the Vampire Diaries, as far as I'm concerned. I think this was the most interesting mostly because of the time skip. I think that was my favorite thing, because it skipped 3 years, and it just started off like Stefan's wounded. He's like, Damon's in a casket for some reason. It got answered at the end, where it was like, okay, obviously he just decided, I'm just going to go to sleep and wait for Elena to wake up. So that got answered fairly quickly, but then it's like, okay, well, he obviously had to be woken up by Stefan, because there's this magical super hunting woman. So that just has me really excited. And the originals, with a brand new war, like every season with them, it's never just like simple. It's like everything is a war. Even in the last season, even though they killed everyone off in the beginning, technically that was still war. They had the war in the beginning, and then we had like the inner city war, where it was Marcel against Klaus, and then they had the stuff with their aunt coming in, and that was freaking everybody out. But every season is war, which I don't hate, because it's always very interesting and fun. But I love both these premieres. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about them, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And for the Vampire Diaries, I definitely want to know your speculations for who this woman is, why she's... I'm assuming she's just a generic vampire hunter, but she has to have some magical aura about her. She's been living for centuries, so either she's one of these ciphering vampires, or she's just magical and she's kept herself alive. Those are my speculations. I want to know yours. And for the originals, I want to know if you guys think that Klaus's sire is the one, or is doing this, and he's the one who's going to try to kill the other originals. Of course, he wants to keep his line together, and he makes it seem like, oh, your family's weaker than ever, and he says that stuff. Do you guys think he's going to try to kill off um, Elijah and Rebecca? Like, is that his goal, or is he actually just trying to help Klaus to keep everybody alive? Because obviously you care more about yourself than you would the others, so I don't know. Like, and plus he's the crazy serial killer, and he's the one who's getting the werewolves killed. So I'm like, in my eyes, he's gonna plan something and try to kill off the other two originals, which I think we all know would just get him killed later in the season. But I want to know your speculations for both premieres, and of course, like I said, what you thought. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.